Thinking about switching software providers can be pretty daunting, especially if you've been with that provider for a long time. You might have valid concerns about what will happen to your data, how the transition will affect your staff, and just generally how smoothly it's going to go. After all, this is your system of record and it's something your company relies on, so it's important to think about these things and make sure that you haven't got any issues or business interruption. Our team has helped lots of companies transition over to us, and there's a few things we like to do to make that transition as simple as possible. First of all, I'd just like to talk about your contract with your existing supplier. If you're tied in for a long term with your existing supplier, we will sometimes offer to buy out your contract. So what does this exactly mean? Well, we're not physically buying anything. What we'll actually do instead is we'll offer sometimes to credit your account for the duration of your remaining contract. You're not double paying for the old software and also for ours. You have to provide some evidence that you're locked in for that time frame, and then we'll apply the credit to your account when we first set it up. Now, if you're a smaller company, we might not offer to do this because there is costs involved for us and there's time costs too. But if you're a larger company and we think it's going to be beneficial for both of us, then we will sometimes offer this. Let's talk about your data. So if you have a lot of data in another system, then you'll be wondering what to do with it. Chances are you've probably got hard copies of any reports. So worst case scenario, you've always got those reports to look back on. In terms of getting the data into our system, that can be more challenging. At the time of this recording, we don't have an import facility. However, that's often not a problem. If you think about it, you don't need all of your existing data at once. You'll service so many jobs per month, and only a small amount of those may be repeatable jobs. So what we tend to find is that you can generally get started without too much trouble. When it comes time to input some data for a site you've already been to, maybe you've got some legacy data from, that first time is going to be a little bit painstaking because you're going to have to re-enter that information from scratch. However, when you come to do the re-inspections in our system, maybe after 6 months, a year or so, you're going to have that existing data in our system to fall back on, and you can simply copy the old report. We have separate videos talking about re-inspections and copying reports, so please check those out. So if you're prepared to swallow this pain, then generally it's not as bad as you think. In the future, we do plan to add some import features, so perhaps when you're watching this, we already have that. It's worth checking our roadmap out to see what's available at the time. Another thing to make the transition easier is that we'll develop your custom templates before you've committed. So if you send us a copy of your templates and tell us what you need, we will free of charge develop those templates, usually by tweaking our existing ones and then changing whatever is required. You don't have to have subscribed by this point. You can check the templates over, make sure you're satisfied with them, and then once you're happy with them, you can then subscribe. We like to do this just to make sure there's no red tape and you're not having to commit to something before you've actually seen the output. It also gives you an opportunity to send the reports to your clients and make sure that they're happy with them, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to be receiving these reports, and you want to make sure that the transition is straightforward and acceptable for them too. Lastly, I just want to say that some companies often run 2 systems in parallel when they move over to us. So there might be a transitionary period where you're running the old system and the new one. Now we tend to offer a 30-day free trial of our system. So if you can use the 2 systems in that 30 days and you can start to get things moved over, then you're not actually paying any extra because it's in that 30-day free trial. Once that 30-day free trial ends, then you're onto our monthly rolling subscription. So that's another way we like to reduce the red tape and make it as frictionless as possible for you to move over to us and make sure you're not committing too much, because you might want to back out at that point for whatever reason, and that's no problem at all. We're happy for you to cancel during that free trial period. If you're considering moving over to us, then we can put you in touch with our customer success team. They can make sure you've got everything you need before you start. So if you're watching this and you're still having some reservations, I would suggest you get in touch with us. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have and hopefully help you move over as easy as possible.